We will find out tonight. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Randomania. I'm Ferran Burgundy. We'll be bringing the action here to you in this 8-seed versus 9-seed matchup of Thilotilo and Xarnax42 here in the round of 16 of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament. We appreciate your patience with the delay here, a little bit of technical difficulties, as sometimes does tend to occur. But in the meanwhile, as our runners are just about ready to go here, I want to let you know that the object of Dragon Warrior is for our racers to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord. They'll need to collect certain key items along the way to trade in for the Rainbow Drop, which will allow the runners access to Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They'll also be fighting enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in their quest. Now, randomized here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, it's been the same all throughout. An overworld map, the treasure chest and search spot contents, the town and cave locations, the weapon and armor shop contents, the enemy locations and enemy spells and abilities, as well as the order of spells learned, though they're guaranteed to learn all 10 spells by level 16. Also, the Dragon Lord, which in the vanilla version of Dragon Warrior has 130 hit points, has a range of 150 to 165. And we are getting underway here, so the king is going to give the instructions. We will see what items are going to help our players along here to get things started. We have some gold. Big bucks is always a good way to start. Also a set of wings, which will allow our runners to hold on to the obligatory magic key. So early opportunity to purchase magic keys, so that will not be an issue to get things going here. That's always a good start for a potential fast seed. But the concern that you see here is the really low strength to get things started, as well as the low hit points. With that 5 power, our runners, well, they'll probably be able to only hit slimes and red slimes for any type of damage. Everything else would be a coin flip of 0 to 1 hit points of damage. So our runners purchasing magic keys, maxing up to the 6 that they're able to carry in their inventory, and both taking the same path, heading to see what is in the basement, the lower edge of Thilotilo Castle. And we've got a metal slime on Xarnax's side. Oh, this could be interesting. It's going to be a coin flip either way. So if Xarnax is able to hang on and hit for the 3 hit points, we could very well have a very early experience lead here, and we most certainly do. Also, we've got a magic key, got a couple of magic keys, and some gold. And wow, just like that, a minute and 55 seconds in, Xarnax has leapt up to level 6 thanks to taking out a metal slime. Oh my goodness. So that will certainly allow for quite a bit of experience gains. And oh, we see that we found an herb in what looks to be... Okay, this is Garen's grave, I believe, as we have an herb and a torch. And we have a fire-breathing Drakey. So Thilotilo now back after taking that death. And the Druid is able to be taken out with just 1 hit point left. Xarnax with a lot of navigating here in the dark. And the Golem finally takes Xarnax out. Meanwhile, Thilotilo getting the first bit of damage here. So we have the exploration of what was in the treasury, and Xarnax now going to be able to do that to see that there's a cursed belt. Also, there's some gold. Couple of magic keys. Ah, and the death necklace. That must have been the item that I missed in Garen's grave, which looks to be behind Thilotilo Castle. So Xarnax going for a cursed belt grind, it looks like, and just stocking up on as many of those cursed belts as possible. Now, the way that had worked is it has to do with what's called a treasure chest grind glitch. Treasure chests respawn every time you go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limitations at the time the game was made, the game tracks only up to 8 chests as open. So every chest open beyond that ninth and beyond, I should say, can be taken over and over again. So usually this is done the way it was done here, as a green dragon takes out Xarnax, is the 3 treasure chests that were opened in the bottom of Garen's grave. Well, those were opened, and then death warping back to Tanagel Castle, so not going to the overworld. And the 3 chests that are in the throne room, they're automatically marked as open, so that way you don't take them over and over again. And then 2 treasure chests being opened inside the treasury in Tanagel, well, that gets you your 7 and 8, and then the 9th one and 10th one there can be taken over and over again. And chat noting a rather noted lead here for Xarnax, having taken out that metal slime about 3.5 minutes ago. And that has given the significant experience lead here. Meanwhile, Thilotilo still struggling to get beyond level 1 with just the 5 strength. And Xarnax now has found the town of Cantlin, the proverbial shopping mall of Alfgard. 3 different weapon and armor shops here, and just shy of a hand axe. And Xarnax debating what to purchase. Going to go grab a dragon scale. As Scorpion takes out Thilotilo. Now that dragon scale, that is going to give an additional 2 defense points now that that's been equipped. And Xarnax is going to sell those plethora of cursed belts for 180 gold apiece, and that's going to allow for some more weaponry and armory to be purchased on Xarnax's side. So a huge lead early on, but certainly not insurmountable. As Thilotilo taking out another slime, and is just 1 experience point away from getting to level 2. And ETAP noting in chat that with the possibility of a gold grind and Cantlin being very close by, there is a good possibility of purchasing some of the best equipment that money can buy in the game, and that will certainly even things out in terms of being able to take out enemies here. So we have a hand axe purchase on Xarnax's side, also a chainmail, and not the bamboo pole. It's going to go down and get a small shield. So 4 defense power for the small shield, as well as, oh goodness, I'm doing my math here, 10 for the chainmail and 15 attack power for the axe. You can see the significant lead, and trying to get away from a skeleton is Thilotilo, not able to do so, and Xarnax immediately heading in to the area of Cantlin where we can find out the coordinates. And we have 25 north and 55 east. So just like that, just 8 minutes into the seed, we've already got access to the coordinates, and Xarnax is going to just walk on the barrier tile, which takes 15 hit points of damage per, and take the intentional death to get back to the castle. Thilotilo, meanwhile, still working on trying to get to level 2. That 5 attack power to start, certainly a challenge. The reason for the huge differential, inside what was Garen's grave in the back of Tanagel Castle, there was a metal slime that Xarnax had encountered, and just about little less than 2 minutes into the seed, and Xarnax was able to take it out to jump from level 1 to level 6 in one fell swoop. And a red dragon preventing Xarnax from going much further. And back to the castle, Xarnax goes with half of the gold. And to answer the question, yes, Jay Coper, Xarnax did take out a metal slime just under 2 minutes into the seed, and that allowed for a huge jump in experience. And just like that, we've got level 7 for Xarnax. 0, 11, 2, and 2, and we've got another spell here. 4 out of the 10 spells learned by level 7. And Hurt More is in the bunch there, so that was the spell acquired at level 7, so that is going to further the lead here for Xarnax, as now being able to punch enemies out as well as taking out some of the higher level enemies with the Hurt More spell. Now the winner of this match will take on the 16-seeded BTs, who just last night upset the top-seeded JJ Schmidt 77, and I say upset tongue-in-cheek in a sense, in that, well, hold on, I'll get back to that in a moment, as we've got Thilotilo getting to level 2, and here is Xarnax getting to level 8. But you can certainly see the difference. Yes, as I was saying, upset very tongue-in-cheek in that all of the players here, their seedings are just essentially that based on their statistics from the tournament, but all of the players here are very highly skilled, very highly talented, and really you could shuffle them in any particular order and it'd be hard to argue against those particular rankings, as so far the seeding of the tournament, out of the 12 races that have occurred thus far, 9 of them the higher seed has quote-unquote upset or the lower seed has upset the higher seed in this case, and that was another example of that last night. So Thilotilo getting a critical hit on a Drakey, and Xarnax taking a death through the swamp, as one of the spells of the ones that have been learned so far, one that has not yet been learned, is a heal spell. And Xarnax looks to be attempting to count out the coordinates for the overworld, which will contain one of 3 items. Either Erdrick's Armor, the best armor in the game, Erdrick's Token, one of the essential items needed to trade in for the Rainbow Drop to access Charlotte Castle, or the Fairy Flute, which is used to put one of the tougher enemies to sleep in the Golem. And Thilotilo taking out the Ghost and is now going to go to level 3. And acquiring the spell of Stop Spell. And Xarnax now heading over to a cave, and we have the Staff of Rain Cave. That's where our runners will trade in the Silver Harp to acquire the Staff of Rain. And the Staff of Rain, combined with the Stones of Sunlight and Erdrick's Token, will be needed to get the Rainbow Drop. Xarnax attempting a Hurt More spell on a Stone Man, which they're not really susceptible to the Hurt More spell, and able to run away. Not so much, though, from the Blue Dragon, and that sends Xarnax back to the castle. 13 minutes in and a combined 10 deaths for both of our runners. And Thilotilo realizing that a Scorpion just a little little too rich for his blood at this point. But the Scorpion is persistent. Meanwhile, Xarnax, well, has found a cave, thought that it might be the Swamp Cave and it cast outside, but it is Swamp Cave, it's just the north end of it as opposed to the south end. And Future Sight, to answer your question, it was an early metal slime kill that caused the differential. Xarnax had gone into the basement, and it turned out to be Garen's grave, which happened to have a metal slime as his first encounter, and having strength below 20, the slime was guaranteed to not run away, and Xarnax was able to take it out and get an instant 255 experience, leaping from level 1 to level 6. And a Stone Man death on Xarnax's side, sending him back again. That is the 7th death for Xarnax here thus far, almost 15 minutes into the seed. And Drakeys, along with having that standard Dragon Breath, also have the spell of Heal. Meanwhile, the Stone Man continuing to be a pest for Xarnax here, as level 4 now coming Thilotilo's way, with a 24 power boost and another new spell, the spell of Repel. Meanwhile, the Blue Dragons continuing to trouble Xarnax, as well as the Stone Man. Tries a YOLO Hurtmore and hits it, but the Stone Man attacks for 23 and only having 22 hit points. That sends Xarnax back once again. At level 8, not having a heal spell, certainly proving problematic for exploration. Thilotilo, meanwhile, doing a little bit of walking and grinding, and now with that 24 power boost, able to start punching enemies a little bit more. And Xarnax looks to be back into the cave here. And it looks like back in the Swamp Cave where the Stone Man looks to be the guardian of the princess. As Xarnax not wanting anything to do with the... not wanting anything to do with the Stone Man, but trying anyway. But also not wanting anything to do with counting out the coordinates, which we were able to determine very early on, about 8 minutes into the seed. And now here is another level for Thilotilo. Getting up to level 5 now here at the 1650 mark, and getting the outside spell. And Wolfman2000, thank you for the subscription to Randomania. Enjoy the Drogon Lord emote, and enjoy the randomizer races that we have here among the Randomania networks. So now Xarnax encountering a werewolf and taking it out, utilizing the herbs. Hurtmore was at level 7, DW Edit, to answer your question in chat. And Xarnax looking to try to hit for a couple of them. It's a bit of a roll of the dice, but he is able to hit it, and 2 still not enough, and that is death number 10 for Xarnax here just 18 minutes into the seed. It's about a 50-50 coin flip, a little less than, as far as hitting Hurtmore on the Stone Man. And with the high hit points, well, it's a challenge to hit 3 in a battle with minimal ways of healing. And, the Red Dragon's certainly not going to help, and Xarnax is just going to punch at it and take another death and give it another try. But while Xarnax is continuing to go after the Stone Man, this is giving Thilotilo a chance to chip away at that experience lead and start to get a little bit stronger and getting a little bit closer to where Xarnax is, even though it's a 3-level difference. Now here comes level 6. And 30 hit points gained at level 6. Meanwhile, Xarnax taking out a green dragon, and that is going to get level 9 for Xarnax. 3 power, 6 speed, 13 hit points, and 12 MP. And Thilotilo not going to get away from the Dragon Lord Breath breathing Axe Knight. Ouch. And Xarnax, meanwhile, opting to grind up a little bit. Looking for more of those green dragons, and is going to increase the experience lead. Which is about 1,000 at this point, 20 minutes into the seed. Xarnax, just under 2 minutes in, had taken out a metal slime that was in Garen's grave, and Xarnax finding the town of Cole, so we will see what is in the search spot here. It is Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game. Oh, wow. So that is definitely going to make the exploration easier, as Erdrick's armor has a litany of benefits, in that not only does it add 28 defense points to your total, but also you don't take any damage in these swamp or barrier tiles. It reduces the damage done by the hurt or hurt more spells, as well as the fire breath and dragon lord breath. It negates the spell of stop spell, and it also recovers your hit points, 1 hit point of damage per step, as now finding the fighter's ring in the town of Rimeldar is Xarnax. That's going to add 2 more attack power to the total. Already up to 68. And Xarnax going to take a look at the shops. And Spofford, well, this race was a tale of decisions, and Thilotilo had opted, after both of our runners were able to get keys from the start, Thilotilo opted to go outside of the castle, and Xarnax decided to go into the basement and ran into a metal slime that took that metal slime out. Yeah, just under 2 minutes in, the metal slime kill vaulting Xarnax from level 1 to level 6. That was the launching point for Xarnax's bleed, who now finds the Rainbow Drop Cave, also known as the Jerk Cave. Because if you don't have all the essential items, most notably Erdrick's token, the old man will kick you out of the cave like the jerk that he is. And speaking of jerks, the Star Wyvern being a jerk bird to Thilotilo and sending him back. As Xarnax working to chip away at, and does chip away at, the Demon Knight. Still at level 9, no heal spells. So trying to recover hit points has certainly had its share of challenges. And the Demon Knight certainly proving that. So 23 minutes in, we have now combined for 19 deaths between our 2 runners. As Thilotilo takes out a Droll, and that is going to get level 7. No power, 11 response speed, but more importantly, that is going to get the spell of Hurt More. So Xarnax is heading back into Garen's grave. We now can confirm that. And there may be a combination of exploration here with also the possibility of setting up the treasure chest glitch to garner a gold grind. And the Metal Slime wanting nothing to do with Xarnax after the early kill. And the Star Wyvern once again being a jerk bird as Thilotilo discovering Cantlin just underneath of Charlotte Castle. And here's a Metal Slime that is sticking around. Xarnax hitting for 2. And is able to take it out. So now a second Metal Slime kill, and that's going to put Xarnax up to level 10. 1 power, 3 response speed, 18 hit points, 15 magic points, and a new spell yet to be determined. As Thilotilo finally reaches the town of Cantlin. And now here's another Metal Slime. And this Metal Slime for Xarnax not wanting to stick around. Meanwhile, a small shield purchase on Thilotilo's side and just shy of enough for a copper sword. Going to take a look at what other wares are inside of Cantlin. Meanwhile, Xarnax heading deeper into the grave. And copper swords everywhere. Thilotilo just shy of it. Xarnax going toe-to-toe here with a blue dragon and uses a hurt more that's not quite enough to take it out, but has heal more here at level 10. And one more attack ends up taking it out. So just a few steps away here. Bit of a misstep, and we have gold in the 4th chest in Garen's grave. As Thilotilo going to stock up on some much-needed herbs. And Thilotilo going to sell a cursed belt. Presumably, may go and get some more herbs. I thought perhaps might go and get a copper sword to add 10 more attack power, but opting against that. Meanwhile, Xarnax just about 100, a little less than 100 experience away from level 11. Thilotilo now going to acquire the coordinates. So Thilotilo is going to see the 25 north and 55 east. And Thilotilo going to take the intentional death after finding out the coordinates. Magiwyverns easily hurt moreable by Xarnax and getting to the quad 2s, or 4 2s, interestingly enough. It's level 11, 0, 6, 18, and 9. Could that perhaps be an omen? And the silver harp in its vanilla location deep in Garen's grave, that is one of the essential items needed. And yes, at level 11, 133 hit points. So Xarnax heading in and out of the throne room to activate the chest there and is going to utilize a gold grind once this non-playable character quits being a troll. Meanwhile, Thilotilo in Garen's grave and picks up the upper 3 chests, the Death Necklace, the Torch, and the Herb. And we have the, well, it says the Flame Sword, but that is most certainly not the case here. Those are magic keys in that middle chest, which Xarnax is using to upgrade. There's a few glitches in those types of things. And the cursed belt in the upper left, and there is the gold. So now Xarnax is going to procure the gold over and over again as Thilotilo now takes out a metal slime. And is going to go to level 8. 2-2-12-4 in the new spell. And that looks to be Repel. And Dataplet noting in chat the experience value underrated, 2222 for Xarnax. I just noted that it's the number 2 4 times. 42, maybe there's a little omen there for Xarnax. Certainly hard to say. And yes, Smashy noting between levels 7 and 11, not much in the way of strength gains, as Xarnax now meandering past Charlotte Castle and going to head into the town of Cantlin, where we did see a silver shield, so that is an upgrade of an additional 16 defense points. You can see shooting up to 79 now for Xarnax, able to withstand the damage from most enemies, and now here comes level 9 for Thilotilo. Just a little less than a minute after getting level 8. And also the hand axe for Xarnax as well. And off to the east. Meanwhile, Thilotilo heading deep into the grave, which will be good to get the Silver Harp, one of the essential items in the game, needed to acquire the Rainbow Drop. As the Blue Dragon, not necessarily a friend to Xarnax, but certainly has been notable here throughout, and is able to take it out. And now back to the Staff of Rain Cave. And Xarnax is going to go ahead and trade that in. So a little bit of the checklist taken care of. Now still looking for the Stones of Sunlight and Erdrick's Token. And Smashy noting in chat that yes, this is a rare instance where you don't necessarily have to Death Warp, as the 5 treasure chests that were opened down in the grave, Thilotilo able to cast outside to get to the steps within the castle, heads up into the throne room, that accounts for the other 3, and then everything else is openable in the treasury. And Xarnax, meanwhile, navigating in the dark, and runs into a red dragon. And the cave that Xarnax was in, it looks to be the Swamp Cave, and finally taking out that Stone Man. and is going to have a chat with Princess Gwaelin and is going to rescue her, take her back to the castle. Xarnax will acquire an item called Gwaelin's Love. What that will do is, when you utilize it, Gwaelin will let our heroes know how far she is from their current location. It is known in the community as the GPS, the Gwaelin Positioning System. Now, that can throw some of our runners off, as because she tells you where she is in relation to you, you have to flip the cardinal directions from what she's saying. So Xarnax is looking to have Gwaelin mention that she is 25 paces south and 55 paces west of where you are. Xarnax heading back toward the south and back into Cantlin. A virtual high five for both of our runners as Thilotilo heads over to purchase the silver shield. Xarnax going to stay at the inn. Thilotilo going to pick up a hand axe. And also going to get the magic armor, the second best armor in the game, just behind Erdrick's armor. But magic armor no slouch in that it has 24 defense power, as well as that reduced damage done by the hurt spell. And every 4 steps that you walk, you heal 1 hit point. Xarnax, meanwhile, taking out a werewolf just to run into another. And Mr. Spoke's Erdrick's armor was in the town of Cole, found about 16 minutes ago by Xarnax. Now on the other side of the swamp cave, Xarnax runs into a blue dragon. Thilotilo, meanwhile, runs into a metal slime that runs from him. And ETAP, you're correct in chat. The only towns that have been found thus far are Cantlin and Cole. And now here comes level 12 for Xarnax. Fairly modest gains, but still notable nonetheless. And just outside there is a town, and it is the town of Breckenary. Xarnax looking to see if perhaps there's a weapon upgrade, and there is, but a little rich for his blood. It was hoping for perhaps a broadsword for 1,500 gold. But instead is going to utilize the cheap inn. Good old 6 town. 6 gold. That's all it takes to recover your hit points and magic points. And yes, chat, I know there's another name for it, but we don't have the sponsorship. So now here is Gwaelin's Love being used, and 26 and 38, so a few more paces to the east, not too far from this cave here. 25 and 53, 2 more steps, and we're searching. We've got the fairy flute in the overworld. Meanwhile, Thilotilo is going to acquire the Staff of Rain about 6 minutes after Xarnax did. And we have the Tablet Cave. On Xarnax's side, no enemy encounters, but 1 treasure chest sitting at the end here. Our runners have the spell of outside, so that'll make it easier to get out of there. And it is a fairy water, which works just like the repel spell. So Erdrick's token could either be guarded by an enemy in the town of Hawksnest, or it could be in one of the remaining treasure chests which there are 9 possibilities. The 3 in the town of Garanham, the 1 in the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, speaking of which, we'll find out now. It is an herb, so it is not in the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight. So it could be in the 5 that are in the Mountain Cave. Meanwhile, Thilotilo has reached level 10. And an Axe Knight on Xarnax's side. Which has the Dragon Lord 2 Breath. The benefits of the Erdrick's armor, reducing that damage by 1/3, so instead of it hitting for anywhere from 64 to 72 hit points of damage, it only deals between 42 and 48. And Xarnax finding another town here in the desert, and it is the town of Garanham. So a chance to replenish some items, some herbs, possibly a torch. Might also check the shop to see if perhaps there is a broadsword to increase the attack power by another 5, as strength seeming to be a challenge here. And there is not one. And behind that locked door in Garanham, well, there are 3 treasure chests, as well as another cave, which I believe by process of elimination, it's going to be the Mountain Cave. So the remaining 8 treasure chests will tell the tale here as to whether the token is in them. Well, we've got these Stones of Sunlight as well. That's one of the ones that are one of the items that are needed. And we've got a magic key. And a torch. So we know that Garanham is required, so now it is a 1 in 5 chance here to see if perhaps the contents in the Mountain Cave will include Erdrick's token. If not, Xarnax will be looking for the town of Hawksness. First chest is a fairy water. And a nice escape on Xarnax's part from the Red Dragon. Very difficult to run away from. Thilotilo, meanwhile, doing some fighting and exploring. And finds the town of Cole, so he's going to get a huge get here of Erdrick's armor. As the Warlock with Sleep being a bit pesky. And no additional weaponry here. So we have an empty chest and a torch. And we have the Erdrick's armor gain for Thilotilo. Now, the reason that the chest is empty is because the inventory is maxed out in either herbs or magic keys. Or possibly both. So Thilotilo going to take advantage of the exploration, and there is a cursed belt. Which, because there are 2 cursed belts found, that means that does guarantee that that the Erdrick's token is going to be in Hawksness. And this last chest here is a set of wings. And out goes Xarnax, as we will see the fighter's ring now for Thilotilo. And Hurtmore able to take out the Jerkbird. And Smashy noting, yes, that the Erdrick's sword is going to be in Charlotte Castle, the best weapon in the game. So we will play Pyramid somewhere down the road as we get a little bit closer to it. The lovable guess from chat as to where of these 7 locations Erdrick's sword might be, merely for bragging rights, or swagging rights, or something along those lines. So Xarnax is looking around for the town of Hawksness. Thilotilo with some catching up to do in terms of exploration. But all the meanwhile continuing to take out enemies along the way, and Thilotilo has found Hawksness. Meanwhile, Xarnax should be pretty close to level 13 and is going to get that very level with the Axe Knight kill 1, 2, 2, and 2 for the level gains. So very paltry gains at level 13. And we have, oh, it's an Axe Knight. So an Axe Knight spike tile in Hawksness. Now, I don't believe, did Thilotilo search the square? Well, here comes level 11. I'm not sure, Chad, if you can help me out on this here. I don't believe that Thilotilo, at least I don't think, did Thilotilo search the Hawksness Square to acquire the token? Or was there perhaps a moment of excitement of recognizing that it... And wait a minute, now Thilotilo's doubling back. And there's the search. Okay. So Erdrick's token acquired for Thilotilo and has the knowledge of that spike tile for the Axe Knight. So once Xarnax finds it, well, that will certainly be advantageous, but it looks like Xarnax is sticking around in the desert and looking to grind on Axe Knights that way. So slower, but still effective. And Etap noting that once Thilotilo finds the town of Garanham, that it will essentially be grind and go mode for Thilotilo, as the Stones of Sunlight will be in Garanham. And Etap noting in chat that Xarnax essentially in grind and go mode once he hits Hawksness, but will have that grind spot readily accessible. So both of our runners searching essentially for one thing. Xarnax looking for Hawksness, and Thilotilo looking for Garanham. Again, the winner of this race will take on BTs in the quarterfinals here of the 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. Thilotilo taking out another Axe Knight, and is just one enemy that's not a gold man away. We've got parallel towns. Back into Rimeldar goes Thilotilo for an in-stay. Now you see along the statistics there, the color orange is borderline to possibly contemplate taking on the Dragon Lord. The green means you're good to go. The white means you still have a ways to go. And that could be the factor in terms of grinding, is how far will they go to get into more tolerable numbers. And here comes level 14 with only 2 power, 2 speed, 4 hit points, 3 magic points. Again, very modest gains. But Xarnax finding a nice spot in the desert to be able to grind on Axe Knights. And here comes level 12 for Thilotilo. So Xarnax opting to grind here, it looks like. Perhaps as chat noting concern that the red dragon might be the spike tile. We know otherwise. And there may be an exasperated sigh once Xarnax does find Hawksness and sees that it's an Axe Knight that was guarding Erdrick's token. But this grind does allow for Thilotilo to start to chip away in terms of exploration, although the experience lead now jumping out to over 3,000 as Xarnax just hitting Axe Knight after Axe Knight. Xarnax trying to look for these strength gains to get to a decent point. Or perhaps also, you also see the gold starting to creep up there, maybe trying to get up to that 9,800 to go from the 15 attack power of the axe, the hand axe, to 28 attack power for the flame sword, just to get that little extra bit, realizing that while there could be a gold grind setup, the experience is needed anyway, and this seems like as good a place as any. As Thilotilo now in the tablet cave, and is going to go and get a fairy water. But Thilotilo not knowing where the stones are. And Smashy noting that a golem would not be very good on the spike tile. While that would be the case, Xarnax at least has the fairy flute, as Xarnax had acquired the princess and searched the overworld spot. Thilotilo is opting to chance it otherwise, as Thilotilo now opting for the herb here. Xarnax, meanwhile, back into Brecconary for another instay. And is just 149 experience away from level 15. And chat already noting the possibility of utilizing the Death Necklace, which, given the high hit points and low attack power and strength, is a very, very, very strong possibility. Now, in the vanilla version of the game, the Death Necklace is a cursed item that, if you put it on, the king will essentially ban you from the castle unless you get the curse removed from in Brecconary. Here in this game, that still applies, but there's one added advantage that was programmed into the game, or I guess a little bit of a risk-reward, and that is, once you put on the Death Necklace, you'll gain an additional 10 attack power, but it will come at the cost of 25% of your maximum hit points. And Thilotilo has found Garanham. Here comes level 15 for Xarnax. 15 power, 8 speed, 7 hit points, 3 MP. So now less bad 75 strength. As meanwhile, here is the Stones of Sunlight at the 55-55 mark for Thilotilo. Now, Thilotilo going into the back of Garanham. Oh, I wonder if Thilotilo might be diving the cave just to see if Erdrick's sword is here. So depending on how quickly Thilotilo navigates through the cave, that would give that opportunity to catch up, as there's now a 4,275 experience differential. So this is going to take some time away. And Xarnax back in Rimeldar. And now has found Hawk's Nest to the south. So quickly taking out the Axe Knight, and Xarnax also not searching, just going after the Axe Knights. And there is Erdrick's token for Xarnax. So Xarnax is now in grind and go mode. Meanwhile, BT's the opponent in the quarterfinals for the winner of this race, looking on and doing a good bit of scouting. and providing some of those notes in chat. Oh, and Axe Knights have Heal More as well. Oof. Dragon Lord Breath and Heal More from the Axe Knights. And Mr. Spokes, to answer your question in chat, they did discover the Rainbow Drop Cave earlier on. Now, how long it takes to get back to them is a question. So yeah, the Axe Knights with the Heal More and the Dragon Lord Breath, as Jay Coper noting in chat, not ideal, but they've also been pretty killable for the most part. As we close in now at the hour point of this seed here on Randomania. Also want to take a moment to thank behind the scenes here Archfield Monk for doing the restreaming, CyberDark86 for the tracking, and we have a rainbow drop at the 1 hour mark for Xarnax. And meanwhile, an update from over on our other network. Both of our racers on the other network, Game Boy F9 and Up to NG, have finished. And it was a close race within 1 minute of each other. I'll let you watch the restream to see who won. Yes, a super jet seed, according to DW Edit in chat. You can check that out on Randomania 3, as the VOD will be up from that momentarily. Meanwhile, I'd imagine that the audience from that will be joining us over here momentarily, as Xarnax now using the Rainbow Drop. And is heading into Charlock. Unless Xarnax is banking on level 16 providing a 30 strength gain. No, it's just going to be grinding here, it looks like. Meanwhile, Thilotilo at level 13. BTs, to answer your question, the Fighter's Ring, that was in Rimeldar. So, Erdrick's Sword, once they acquire it somewhere in Charlock Castle, that will add 25 attack power to the total, which at the moment would put them at 117. So even with the Death Necklace, you're looking at 127, which is pretty low. You'd be looking at an attack range of 6 to 13. So now taking out a Red Dragon is Xarnax, and here comes level 16 with a 8 power, 2 speed, no hit points, 1 magic point in the last spell. So it looks like Xarnax is going to stay at the inn. and is going to head back on in, not even bothering with a repel because of how short the distance is. And it looks like this is going to be the dive. Smashy noting the numbers. 111 HP and 135 attack power once the Death Necklace is put on. Meanwhile, level 14 for Thilotilo. Able to chip away at that experience differential. And it's about 4,000. And Wolfman2000, yes, now is the time to get your guesses in as to where you think Erdrick's sword is going to be. So we've got Wolfman and Dataplet for vanilla. Oh, and we've got a Death from Xarnax to a red dragon. So Royale going with the middle left chest, Cyber Dark with the middle right. And Smashy on middle right as well. Busmaster for bottom right, Wally Renfield for bottom left. Or Renfield, excuse me. Merc Hitta going for wherever is worse. That would pretty much be the vanilla location. As Thilotilo is back on the grind in Hawksness. A lot of love in chat for the vanilla location. Meanwhile, Xarnax trying to run away from the red dragon. An ace, I'm not 100% certain if every location was checked by Xarnax, although I do believe so. Thilotilo continuing to hurt more on the Axe Knights, and now is trailing by about 3,500 experience. Now, Sharlock has already been a little bit troublesome as a snowman now giving some issues here, so it's not necessarily completely a lock yet. Maybe about 4 more Axe Knights on Thilotilo's side to get to level 15. As Xarnax is now just 2 basements away from the bottom basement of Sharlock. And an Armored Knight casting Hurt. So here we go. I'm going to go with top since it doesn't look as though anybody guessed that as of yet. And middle center for BTs. Well, bottom right is going to be gold. We've got the dragon scale bottom middle. Gold in the left. Gold in the middle left. Gold in the upper chest. And Erdrick's sword in the middle right. So Cyberdark, Smashy, and technically BTs, you get the bragging points for the evening. Do with them what you will. Meanwhile, Thilotilo taking out another Axe Knight to get to level 15. But still has just a little ways to go. And looks at the numbers and realizes just that. Meanwhile, the Guardian boss, oh look, it's an Axe Knight. Two shots it. And Xarnax is going to put on the Cursed Death Necklace. Is going to get an additional 10 attack power for 135. Maximum hit points of 111. And here we go. So the attack range on the second form of the Dragon Lord will be anywhere between 8 and 17 per attack. But first, having to get through the first form, which Xarnax has done. And here we are. Starting off with a 12. Having to use a heal more. And a 15 as well, up to 27. We thank you, those of you joining us from Randomania 3 with the raid. This is the 8-9 matchup, and we have Xarnax at the Dragon Lord, already 42 damage in. And another 12, up to 54. With now 8 heal mores left. Pending a miss menu, this is looking pretty good, and a big 17 to get up to 71. And another 14 for 85. $13 now, we're at 98. Again, the Dragon Lord anywhere between 150 and 165, so a few more attacks could take care of it here. And there's a slightly lower roll of 10, but it puts into triple digits at 108. There's a big 17 for 125. So a couple of max rolls already in here. And there's a lower roll of 9. 134, now 2 heal mores left. And there's an 11, another double-digit attack. 145 now for Xarnax using the penultimate heal more. And the 15 is going to do it to put it at 160. And Xarnax is going to move on to take on BTs. Another quote-unquote upset, as the 9 seed is going to take out the 8 seed here. That has happened more than 75% of the time. Chat, get out your GGs, as Xarnax is going to win this race with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 19 seconds.
GG, Xarnax.
Thank you.
GG to Xarnax here, as yes, apparently I accidentally grazed over the mute button and was talking for a little while, only to myself apparently. But yes, congratulations. What a heck of a seed here. That pretty much as I was mentioning earlier, before apparently I got muted on myself here, was the Telltale was just under 2 minutes in, taking out that metal slime in the Garen's grave in the basement of Tanagel.
Yeah, that was a really nice find, especially like just because as soon as you see it, you're level 1, you know you're gonna kill it. If it doesn't run, or I mean, if it doesn't kill you first, it's not running away. I felt like there were a lot of things.
The strength at that point was only 5. You knew it was going to be.
I felt like there were a lot of things in that seed that felt like they rolled my way, like just good luck in my favor. But there were definitely enough things that didn't, that I was concerned.
Well, one thing that we thought was interesting that might have been an omen, at least I'd pointed it out, was at one point your experience total was 2222. It was the number 2 4 times, or 4 2s, which just falls right into your name. Just one of those little quirks that sometimes occurs. But otherwise, yeah, the metal slime pretty much, yeah, it was during the gold grind that it was noted, as Chad is pointing out here, during your gold grind to get the silver shield.
Yeah, I did notice it myself, actually. It's a nice looking number.
And all the other numbers looking pretty good. Is your exploration. I mean, you found Erdrick's armor about 20 minutes into the game. That allowed for traversing over a lot of the swamps. The silver harp didn't come too long after that, and it was right at the hour mark that you had gotten the rainbow drop, and from there it was just a matter of getting stronger.
Yeah, the armor, I spent a fair amount of time. I invested a fair amount of time into what ended up being the flute. I did a few tries, got really unlucky on that stone man in Swamp Cave. I don't know that I've ever landed a hurt more twice and failed to kill a stone man, but I did it 2 times, trying to get to Gwalen early, and then it ended up being for a fairy flute that I never used. So I was definitely, by the time I did find the armor, I thought there was a good chance that Tilo may have found it first.
Tilo did not find it first, as while you were doing that exploration, Thilotilo spent the better part. Actually, yeah, by the time you had gotten the armor, Thilotilo still was working on grinding around Tanagel, as not having that advantage of the metal slime. Although he ended up taking out a metal slime a little bit later in the seed. That added time was being taken to grind up to the point that you were at, to the point where you had gotten to level 7 a little less than 10 minutes in. He had gotten to level 7 about 23 and a half minutes in.
Oh, wow.
So that, because the main issue was the struggle to get to level 2, as that didn't occur until after 10 minutes in because of that 5 strength. It was a matter of
Oh, wow.
slimes and finding slimes and red slimes and trying to run away from all the other things that were just being extremely mean, whether it was the fire-breathing Drakies, Drakies had fire breath, and scorpions were punching for quite a bit at that point, and just the challenge of finding slimes. And I don't know if there were any red slimes that were encountered, but they had the wombo combo as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I definitely saw red slimes at some point.
So that combination of things, the early struggles with the low strength and the taking out of the metal slime, that was the difference that will propel you to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, when you kill a metal slime at level 1, you obviously know it's a big help. I really had no idea what I had actually skipped, like how nasty it would have been to try and get up there by another means. So it sounds like that was a rough draw for Thilo.
It was a little bit. One question that was coming to the mind of chat was we had noticed that you'd spent a lot of time in that one desert going after Axe Knights. What, I guess, was that in preparation for what was going to be in Hawksnest, or what were you thinking about regarding that?
That was basically, I mean, at that point, all I needed was to find Hawksnest. I knew the token was there. Make my rainbow drop and dive Shylock. I didn't know what the enemy was in Hawksnest, but if it were far away from a town, or something that I couldn't hurt more, it was going to be a very inefficient grind with the low attack that we had. The Axe Knights in the desert, if I had Repel, that was the only enemy I was running into. So I knew, like, if it happened to be what it ended up being, Hawksnest right next to another town with an Axe Knight in it, I knew I was going to be giving up a little bit of time. But that was the best grind spot I had seen up to that point. And looking for Hawksnest, had it been anything else, going back to that spot where I did grind wouldn't have been worth the time. So I figured I'd just grind before I went back to find the token.
Certainly makes sense, and that was what a lot of chat was thinking as well, is maybe he figures, all right, let me try to get up to a level where I might be able to take on a red dragon or a golem. Well, somebody suggested golem, and I remembered, well, you had the fairy food, so that made it a little, would have made it a little bit easier.
This fight will be interesting to watch for BT, because I had a lot of really high rolls on the Dragon Lord. I got really lucky. This is definitely not a freebie.
For BTs as well as for Thilotilo, who's doing the fight at the moment here. Although, at this point, we'll head to BTs, your opponent in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Apologies to Tilo if you're rewatching this. I'm obviously talking about his fight.
But yeah, looking at the numbers here, only you had a range of 8 to 17. I think only once did you get a single-digit attack, but you had gotten 2 max rolls. Looks like 3 different 15s in there. So yeah, there were a lot of high rolls, above average rolls that went in that fight.
Yeah, which I needed because I wasn't able to get a double in before I started casting Heal More either.
Even with that really high hit points, once the Death Necklace was put on, that was certainly the challenge.
I did get really unlucky with the fire breathing. I didn't get a single double in the entire fight. I don't think he ever even attacked twice in a row.
No, it was definitely a fiery seed, to say the least, or at least in terms of the Dragon Lord's attacks. As now Thilotilo down to his second to last heal more.
And man, if you said we were 13 minutes apart for level 7, and man, look at this difference right now. This could have been an amazing race.
Yeah, and Thilotilo is going to do it here. So Thilotilo with a gallant effort and is going to finish with certainly a great time given the circumstances. And you're right, the differential going to be just under 12 minutes between the two of you. And you're right, what could have been if things were a little different? Get out your GGs as Thilotilo going to finish with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 15 seconds. So we'll see if Tilo wants to join us here in a little bit. In the meanwhile, want to once again thank Archfield Monk for taking care of the restreaming and CyberDark86 for the tracking. And also want to thank all of you out there in chat for joining us here on Randomania, as it has certainly been a fantastic night and one of many here in this fantastic tournament. And don't forget to make sure to give both of our runners a follow, as they've given you a heck of a race here tonight and done a fantastic job. So, any thoughts, Xarnax, as far as your quarterfinal opponent, who has been entertaining in chat throughout?
Man, this guy, he has been on a tear. He like, I don't know if you look through his history in his races in this game, I would say up until maybe a month ago, he honestly didn't have a lot of wins, and I think he just hasn't made it a priority to really learn the nuances of the game. But you can tell that he has lately, because he's been putting up victories over Xarnax42 and Mr. Holmes, and he's a threat to go all the way at this point.
Most certainly is, and a little bit of a potential revenge factor, as it was in last year's tournament in the second round that you two had gone head to head, and it was actually you who had gotten the victory over BTs. Just to plant a little seed for that here, as Thilotilo joining us here in chat, a gallant effort and a GG for a heck of a seed.
GG's Xarnax.
Hey man, you too.
Yeah, that one. My wife came in immediately after the race and explained to me the fast metal slime that happened. So I know how I fell behind by that. But before that, I knew that I was behind in this as soon as I saw Cole and I saw Cantlin, because I had grinded to level 6, I think, before I saw anything. And I said, if I just gone a little bit south, I could have easily gone and done a quick, grabbed some gold from the treasury, gotten a hand axe, which would have made that early grind go so much faster. Gone a few more steps south, had Erdrick's armor, not had to worry about, anything else. So once I hit those at like the 30-minute mark, I knew that I was toast, but apparently I was even further behind than I thought. So
yeah, that open was really, really interesting. And I did actually took me quite a while to find Cole as well. Before, when I found Swamp Cave, I had enough HP and I had hurt more and enough HP to survive a couple of hits. So I was trying to get to Gwaelin immediately. I lost several minutes trying to do that before I ended up going down to find the armor. But now the real cool thing about the opening was we had the gold, the wings, and a key. So I used the wings and then bought 3 more keys. And then before even going into the treasury, I checked the stairs first, and it was Garen's grave. And so I got the first 3 chests. First encounter I had in there was the metal slime, which was really, yeah, that was awesome. I wasn't sure if I was always definitely worried the whole time that you had taken the same path. So I definitely never felt comfortable. But then I got the 3 chests, and so that enabled a gold grind in the treasury right off the bat. And the first chest I got was the gold, but there was a cursed belt in there, and so I loaded up my inventory with those, which I was able to sell when I found Cantlin to get a hand axe, a chainmail, and the small shield.
So that was just a really nice start. Yeah, I did the same thing you did when it got as far as immediately buying more keys, then diving into the grave. But as soon as I found out it was the grave, I was like, with 5 attack power and just we had a tiny amount of hit points too. I was like, there's no way, if there's anything remotely past zone 0 here, that I even make it to those treasure chests. And so I noped down immediately. And yeah, that apparently bit me a little bit, but it's I I had made my peace with losing this one. I don't know exactly why, but there were 23 people in this tournament that were all spectacular players, and 22 of them, since I'm one of them, 22 of them would be ones I would be terrified to go up against. But there is not a single player in the tournament I was more scared of than Xarnax, and I can't exactly articulate why that is, just because, I mean, there's lots of great players in there, but I know every time I've raced you, I've lost, not just lost, but I've lost by huge amounts of time, double-digit minutes every time. I've played most of the other top players really close, but I don't think I've ever even played you close. So I was terrified of this, or I say terrified. I'd actually kind of already made my peace with losing it, although obviously I was going to give it my best effort. So I'm out now, but I went 4-1, and my goal was to go 3-2 in the Swiss rounds. I went 4-1, and there's absolutely no shame in losing to Xarnax here. So I'm very happy with the whole tournament, and I wish you the best of luck on the rest of the way.
Well, I can certainly chime in, and I made a point of this when the bracket was rolled out. Xarnax is one of only 2 competitors who, in all 3 years of the tournament, has been seeded in the top 10. So I think that certainly has something to play. That there's that consistency.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I will say I leave the tournament as the only player to have never played an opponent with more than 1 loss when I played them. Every opponent I've had has been an and 1. Not that really means a whole lot, but it's just interesting.
Wow.
Oh yeah, those various numerical things are, you never know what they're going to bring into the mix here. So, any closing thoughts here? As we'll take a look at the rest of the tournament coming up here. At least the rest of this round is there's only 1 more match left.
My closing thought is just I can't wait to watch the rest of this tournament. Everybody in it are people that I've raced against that I know are just absolutely amazing and just absolutely fun to watch too. So I can't wait for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, every night there's been something exciting thus far, and already, yes, 7 out of the 8 rounds, or 7 out of the 8 matches in this round of 16 have occurred, and so already 3 of the quarterfinal matchups are set. We've got BTs here in Xarnax. That'll be coming up next week, as will Jay Coper and Ness Cardinality and Tristal, and the winner of the other race that was tonight, which we'll keep that under wraps for those who want to go check out the VOD of that from Randomania 3. But Tristal against the winner of the Up to NG and Game Boy F9 match, which was running at the same time as this one here. Coming up tomorrow at 9 o'clock, just a little under or a little over 22 hours from now, it is the last of the round of 16 matches. It's going to be the 18 seed Mr. Holmes against the 2 seeded Centroid41. And the winner of that will go to take on the 7 seeded Dataplet. That'll be at 9 o'clock among the Randomania networks, and then we'll take a little respite as we head into October and the quarterfinals. It should be very fantastic, to say the least.